James Linden Hogg, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Stuart, for having me on your podcast.
Fantastic. I appreciate the set decorations. How old is this thing, and should I touch it?
You may touch it, absolutely. That violin right there is 240 years old. Not that way. Oh
sorry,
my gosh.
Sorry.
Careful. No.
That should make my heart skip a little bit.
No, that's my joke every single time. I ask people when I play music, I say, this violin is 240 years old. Would anyone like to hold it? And someone says, oh, I'd like to hold it. And then that always gives them a good shock. So, yes. But no, it is a very old violin. It was made in northern Italy in the Cremona region, which is where, the Stradivarius was made a long time ago. And so it's not a Stradivarius, but it certainly does sound beautiful when played. And I'm lucky to have it for now.
It certainly does. Well, I always try to respect the fact that people that are watching this, maybe they have no idea who you are. So what are you doing owning something like that?
Well, I do a lot of different things, but I'm a musician, a multi-instrumentalist. I can't even pronounce it myself, but I play a lot of different musical instruments.
Yes.
Fiddle, banjo, guitar, piano, bagpipes. Heck, I even have a hurdy-gurdy, which is
What's a hurdy-gurdy?
It's an old medieval instrument,
yes.
And so I've taken up playing that as well. And really, I play all kinds of music, but mostly folk, Americana, bluegrass, country music, and a little French and Cajun music as well.
Didn't you win, I know it was a while back, but you won some fiddle award, Louisiana Fiddle something. You're the Fiddler of the Year or something. You're a fiddle, what?
Well, I've been fiddling around for a long time. I won as a young boy, really 15, the Louisiana State Fiddle Championship, and I've gone back to the Northwestern State University. They hold a fiddle contest every year for Louisiana fiddle players, and I've gotten to judge the contest as well. And there's a lot of great fiddle players. So I've been milking that title for a long time.
Well, you do play the hell out of a fiddle. I'll give you that. So obviously we've bumped into each other. Our paths have crossed over the years, and we were lucky enough to do a project together last year. We took a swing at a documentary with you, and I was really pleased with how that turned out. But it's really not that difficult to make it look good when you play the instrument as well as you do.
Oh, well, no, Stuart. I mean, you're an artist, and
thank you.
Like with music, I mean. Just the quality of the lighting. I was watching another one of your podcasts, and y'all.
Oh, so you're the one person that watches?
No, I am watching. I absolutely am watching, and we have a couple of cameras, but we can't make them do what y'all do. So
I wanted to let the world know that James Linden Hogg exists. I really do enjoy your music, but it's really niche. It's really unique. You describe it as like folk and Americana, right?
Right, like folk Americana, so roots music.
Yes.
And so roots is it draws from a number of different streams, because if you study the roots of American music, it doesn't lead to just one tree. It's a lot of different streams that we're drawing from. I mean, we've got blues that's growing up in the Delta. We've got bluegrass that comes from the Appalachian Mountains, which descends from the Scotch-Irish, and so we've got that Celtic and Irish heritage that you can hear in the music, and I love that kind of music. And so I think for the music that I play, I don't want to be pigeonholed into one single genre like, modern country or traditional country or whatever. And I think that sort of limits musicians. And so I've looked up to artists like Bob Dylan or Gordon Lightfoot or Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean, I actually got to meet Peter Yarrow one time. Peter Yarrow, who wrote the song Puff the Magic Dragon. He was in his 80s at the time, and he came to Baton Rouge to the Red Dragon Listening Room, which is where you came and filmed a lot of our...
I love that show, dude. I mean, you're jumping from piano to guitar to fiddle to banjo to... It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and really what we try to do, I play along with my father. He accompanies me on guitar. And a lot of our music and performances, we try to take people on a journey and tell stories and sort of weave that all together. And
you do.
Well, I appreciate
like round
that.
The campfire stories, stories of history and things like that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think I've grown up and I've gone to so many different concerts and heard different performers. But I think the experience that a lot of people want when they go to a concert is that they want to be they want to engage with the artist. They don't want to just see them play one song after the next, and never feel like they make a connection with them. And so that's what I hope to do, is to make that heart-to-heart connection with the music and the audience.
So I hope that people go and look at your stuff. And when they do, and they close their eyes, I think I'm not alone in thinking that a person that's as talented as you are, in the genres that you are, should be about 70 years old. So how old are you?
I'm 25, but mentally I'm about 95.
Yeah, old soul. You're an old soul.
I'm an old soul, and yes, indeed. But
how did you get into all where did all this start? Because at 25, to be doing what you're doing is something special.
Well, I tell you, true story. I mean, I got into music and history, which is another one of my passions. I love history, and history is just stories. I was
written by the winners.
Oh, well, yes, indeed. And so you always got to, yeah.
How'd you get into it?
Well, I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I, along with my father, got a chance to go on the road with Ricky Skaggs, the country artist, bluegrass artist.
Okay.
We were friends with a bass player named Mark Fain, and he's produced a number of my albums, and he asked, "Hey, do y'all want to go on the road with us?" And we said, "Well, heck yeah." So we got on the bus and started heading up the East Coast, and one of the stops on the trip was in Charlottesville, Virginia. For those of you out there who know your geography, there's a couple things in Charlottesville. There's UVA, the University of Virginia, founded by Thomas Jefferson, and then there's Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's home.
Yeah.
So everybody was talking about going to see Monticello, and I didn't really know what the big deal was. I mean, I'm just an 8-year-old knucklehead. And, we just went to Dollywood a couple days before.
Dollywood is awesome.
It's pretty hard to top that for
an 8-year-old, yeah.
For an 8-year-old boy. But it certainly did with me. We drove up on that estate, and it was an autumn day, so just the leaves were in vibrant colors. And I just fell in love with a man who was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he was a statesman, he was a philosopher, and he was a heck of a great fiddle player. Jefferson was, and so that childhood experience really has set me on a lifelong course to hopefully inspire other young people about the past, and to just encourage them to do their own digging in the roots of America.
So at the ripe old age of 25, looking back on your career, like where have you played, and what have been some of the memorable kind of places that your instruments have taken you to, shows that you've done, people you've met, that kind of stuff?
Well, I tell you, here's a neat story.
Go ahead.
All right. Many years ago, my father and another gentleman would produce these concerts, fundraising concerts. My father and Scott Ennis, he was the voice of Scooby-Doo. And so... Scooby-Doo, indeed. And anyway, there were artists from all kinds of genres who descended on Baton Rouge to help raise money for a handicapped baseball field.
Okay.
And one year, George Jones came to town. The old possum, the king of country music, came to perform at one of these concerts. And I was probably around 11, I want to say, maybe 10, 11. And I remember we got to open for George Jones. Me and my father and a few other musicians, we played music. This was when I was really just getting started. And I remember meeting George Jones and just becoming overwhelmed, thinking, my gosh, I mean, this is the king of country music, and I'm just a little boy and got to meet him. It was a surreal experience, and I've had other ones when I got to play with Riders in the Sky. I mean, and of course Ricky Skaggs, Rhonda Vincent, and many other artists as well that
does music run in your family? I know your dad performs with you and all.
Yes, my father. I grew up playing music with my father. He played music before I was born, and country, Western music.
Is that how he wooed his wife, your mother? Was it? I'm picturing on the back porch with a guitar and a glass of wine.
Yes. Well,
were you on around for that? So you would.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that. They were married for 10 years before I was born. So yes, I had some older parents. But
so there was music in the house growing up.
Yes, absolutely. Right. I mean, there's pictures of me playing a mandolin, a fiddle, just as a toddler. And in fact, my mother, she bought a violin, an old German violin from Gruen Guitars. And if you go to Nashville, you've got to go to Gruen Guitars, and it's sort of an attraction.
Sure.
And anyway, she bought the violin for herself to learn, and sadly she didn't learn it. But I was able to learn on that violin, and my grandfather bought me a violin from the pawn shop too. So I always grew up with musical instruments littered about the place.
You just pick them up and figure it out.
Exactly.
Did you take lessons at all, or did you just literally figure it out?
Well, I did take some violin lessons and piano lessons, and certainly bagpipe lessons. In fact,
where do you take a bagpipe lesson in Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
Well, First Presbyterian Church. In fact, they're free lessons, and I was so lucky to be able to do that. I mean, I was like about 12 years old, and actually, how I got into the Scottish stuff. It's remarkable how just an experience will really spark an interest, and you think, man, that sounds interesting. I want to learn more. And you do that as well, Stuart. I mean, with all of the different material that you have produced. I mean, it's like, that's cool. How do I do this? And just keep learning. And that's really
living with your eyes wide open.
Yes, well, that's what I want to do is just keep learning. I think learning doesn't just end with the end of school or end of college or so forth. It keeps going throughout our lives, and my grandfather was living proof of this. I mean, he was 90 years old, Linden Hogg, the cornbread poet, as he was called. He wrote a few books of poetry, and he was working until he was 90 years old, and eventually said, take this job and shove it. So he's 90 years old and eventually quit. So he deserved to retire about at that age. What was I talking about? No.
Family.
Oh, family. Yes, well, yes, my family had a huge role to play in sparking those interests. And so, I mean, how I got to start playing bagpipes, we had a bagpiper come over to our house one Christmas party. And I thought, my goodness, the bagpipes, it's so loud. I mean, you're from the mother country, so this is music to your ears. But
it's a bit like Marmite. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah,
I like them, but some people it's like...
Yes, it does sound like tuning, a cat. A sheep or a cat or something like that. It's very loud. Yeah. And so I saw this bagpiper, and he was wearing a kilt, and I thought, my goodness, I'd like to. I mean, I'm just a kid, and so I go take a pair of scissors to a blanket that my parents got back from Scotland, and I cut that thing straight across. I mean, this was probably a $400 or $500 blanket, just so expensive, woven in Scotland. And I don't know why I couldn't cut a straight line. It was a tartan, so it had straight lines throughout the whole thing. And I wanted to make my own kilt. And Lord have mercy, eventually it was sewn back, but...
Does your dad have a picture of that?
Oh, I'm sure we still have the...
I won't publish it anyway.
Well, no, we actually still have the blanket. I still have the blanket, and it was sewn back together. But my grandfather, he was into the Scottish heritage, because I think that's one of the things why I do love folk music. I mean, folk music is the music of the past. It's the music of the people, and we live in such a transitory age. People move around, and people want something authentic, something where there's some substance, and in an age of artificial intelligence, where there's just a plethora of content that's coming out produced by machines.
I think it's worse than that. I mean, I've got 4 kids, as you know, and I was driving my boy back. We had a 3-hour drive, and the phone is so, it's like they don't know that there are other things to do. Like, we were coming up on New Orleans, and the sky was orange and blue, and I'm like, look at that. It's almost like there's not enough space to even realize that there's another alternative. It's really kind of crazy.
It is.
And so, one of the things you can do in that space, if you just put the phone down, is read. Yeah. And I understand you have a second book at 25. Can you tell me about your books and what's that about?
Well, I love to read as well, and I'm an avid reader, collector of books. In case the internet goes down, we'll be ready. We'll have our own library. But yes, I wrote a second book. My first book was called Finding Faith in the Wasteland.
What was that about?
Well, I was just about to graduate school and college at LSU, and I was looking out on the world and thinking this is an experience that a lot of people have. It's that if you look out on the world today, you can get overwhelmed with despair. I mean, it's called doom scrolling. You just keep going through your phone and just become overwhelmed. Well, I was depressed. And I remember during this bleak existential crisis, if you call it that, about a poem. It was called The Wasteland. It was written by T.S. Eliot. Mm-hmm. T.S. Eliot, he was born in St. Louis, moved to England later in life. But he was probably the greatest writer of the 20th century. He was just brilliant. And so he penned this poem, published in 1922, right after the Great War, World War I. And it struck a chord with a lot of people who suffered the horrors of World War I. And they were great horrors. And I thought, my goodness, the way he alluded to the past and spirituality, and he was brilliant when I started to read the poem over and over and over again. And I thought, I'd like to do something similar, but with stories. And each story seeking light amid a bleak circumstance. Okay. There's all kinds of stories in there, humorous stories and stories about history and Louisiana and music. And so that was the first book I wrote. And I was 22. The second book is called A Day the War Stopped, the story of a Civil War truce. And this story is about an event that happened on the Mississippi River back in June of 1863 during the American Civil War. It was a truce between these Union and Confederate soldiers during the American Civil War, specifically the burial truce of Commander John Elliott Hart, who's buried at Grace Episcopal Church. And that was actually my research in graduate school. I went to LSU and got a master's in history. Lord have mercy on me.
That makes a lot of sense. I was going to say, what did you take at LSU? But you just answered the question.
It was history. That was my major in undergrad, and did a master's in history as well. And so that was my research about this event, which is perhaps one of the most remarkable events in Louisiana's past. But there was not a book devoted entirely to the story.
Sure.
And I thought, this is a story worth writing and researching about, because there's been a lot written on this unique event, but not a lot of citations to where they found the sources they based the story. And so that's what this book is about. And really, the story of John Hart's burial truce has come to symbolize brotherhood and reconciliation and sort of values that I think are, and virtues really, that are kind of lost in a hyper-politicized age that we live in. So that's why I like the story. It's a very unifying story. I think a good medicine for today.
Cool. And where are you selling the books?
You can buy the book online at Amazon, but I always encourage folks to buy local. Go to your local bookstore. So local bookstores include the LSU Rural Life Museum gift shop out on Essen Lane, one of my favorite places in Baton Rouge if you haven't been. And also the Conundrum Bookstore in St. Francisville, the West Feliciana Museum, also Dixon Books up in Natchez, Mississippi. And
I was literally in Natchez today.
Really? You were in Natchez today?
Well, shoot, that to start my day. Actually, I'm sitting here, I'm touching my head, 'cause I'm like, I think I'm sporting a migraine. I'm about to get a migraine this evening. So Advil on the way, I think. So, I mean, it sounds to me that you have a deep appreciation for history, and then that just kind of comes out of you in different instruments and in literature, and I'm sure you drive and think about old things. I'm sure you look at trees and you're like, that was there 400 years ago. What was happening? Who walked past that tree? Well, you're one of those guys, aren't you?
In a way, kind of. I think I do kind of feel that way. Is the past is a great place to write songs and really contextualize your life. For example, you go out in nature and you're for example, this is you mentioned about Natchez. I remember I was hiking around Port Hudson. Port Hudson is a historic site in Louisiana. There was a siege that occurred there, the longest siege in American history, 48 days during the American Civil War. I was walking around some of the ravines, and I was thinking, man, this is really low. The land is really low where I'm walking. Why is that? Well, that's because the Mississippi River used to run in some of those areas, but it diverted years later after the Civil War. And so you think about that and you think, my goodness, this is quite interesting. That makes me want to learn more about the Mississippi River and how it's changed over time, and how today the river doesn't look anything like it did 300 years ago. It's hardly called really a river. It's more of a canal.
So as you probably can tell, I was born and raised in the UK, in England. And so walking, and I mean, I swear that whole country is connected by walking paths, just footpaths that go through fields and villages and blah, blah, blah. And so we did a lot of that growing up. And so, you look across a field, and it's really cool to imagine that there is probably some army of a couple of thousand people charging over that hill at some point in the past. It gives you a real good sense of place, I found.
Yes.
Geography and history for me were two things I really enjoyed. Something about knowing where you come from and knowing where you are, I guess, is important. And so I share your interest in history. I don't do it the justice that you do, but very much I appreciate history in the same way that you do. Like, imagine how many people have touched that thing.
I know. It's this violin. It's well, when I am gone, Lord willing, this will be passed on to my children, and they will keep it in the family.
What's the oldest violin? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I mean, these things should be able to last, if they're well kept, right?
If they're well kept, yes, for hundreds of years.
And is it true that they sound better the older they are?
There is, yes, I would say so. But the reason for that is because of the playing. You can have a modern instrument that has a lot of playing on it, and that helps the wood. It helps the vibrations and so forth. I'm not a luthier. A luthier makes instruments, but that's what I've been told. And so
you must intuit something. You must have played a bunch of different instruments. Like, what do you know about? Pick any instrument. It doesn't have to be the violin, but what instrument? You know, is there something intimate you've come to appreciate or understand about any facet of your instrument, like how wood changes? I don't know.
Yes.
What interests you about it?
I think, well, I love the smell of them. I know that may sound strange,
cool.
But you reach into an old instrument and you smell inside. You smell the wood. You smell perhaps some remnants of leather and maybe cigarette smoke. I mean, you don't really know who's been playing this, and the wood itself. So I think that's a charming aspect of it. What's
your favorite instrument to play?
Oh, well, the fiddle. The fiddle, absolutely. The fiddle is my prized possession, and then I love the piano as well, because the piano is. In fact, I was told this once by another piano player, a phenomenally successful piano player, and this meant the world to me that he even said this. But he said, you use the piano like an instrument to decompress. And he said, I've never seen someone who can sit down at the piano and just use it to decompress. And so for performing, at least, I can say that experience of getting up in front of people, making that connection, and is really cathartic, if you will. It's doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, and that's a relief. You know,
I had a you'd know this musician on this. I was talking to him a couple of months ago, and he was frustrated at the state of the music industry, and because everyone wants to be famous, right? Or most people are aspiring, and they're going through the system and whatever. Like, you have a piece about you, like a contentment, and I can appreciate some of the reasons why, but you're applying your music and you're sharing your music in kind of unique and I think special ways.
Thank
and
you.
I know you well enough to know that you're enjoying it too. Like, how are you pursuing your career with music? So you're not just a musician, but you are a very good one. And how do you and your dad and your family, how do you manage your music and express it and share it with the world?
Well, I don't know if I really have all the answers to that question, but I think with pursuing music, I mean, I am a person of faith, so I do contextualize my life through that lens, And that does put everything in perspective, one's own mortality and just all of it. And so, so with me, music is, we're all given talents. We don't all have all the same talents.
Most of us.
Most of us, yes, but we're supposed to share those talents and pursue them, and many sadly don't, which is unfortunate. And so I was lucky to have parents and grandparents who encouraged me not to give up. And fame is sort of illusory. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, notoriety can be a good or a very bad thing. And so for me, that's not the driving motive. It's the product, the message itself. And I think people appreciate that.
Your performance, there's some parts of your performance which I know you've said 1,000 times. Like, I've said some things every day since I moved to America, and it's been 21 years. Every day when someone new meets me, it's, where are you from? I have so many answers for it. It must be the same for you. You've performed hundreds of times, so you get the same thing, like the touching the violin thing, right? How much of your, I don't want to call it an act, but your onstage persona has just come about because of that back and forth, and like, or how much do you actually practice? Do you do like set practices? Like,
I do practice. A good bit. Yeah, I mean, we all should practice. All musicians, should practice more. Certainly. I mean, there's never such a thing as too much practice. So I practice, but I don't think of it as practice. Really, I enjoy it. I enjoy playing. I mean, I enjoy sitting down at the piano and just writing music, and I have a book full of tunes and poems and stuff like that, and I have tons of scraps of paper with ideas, and I'll write things and I'll forget I wrote them down and write them somewhere else. I'm sure you do this as well. You're like, you have an idea and then you write it down and then you forget about it, and then, let me pursue something. And so you've got to keep some sort of ledger of whatever is going on, because the brain is too cluttered.
Do you think about, like, do you ever close your eyes and think, 15 years from now?
15 years from now?
Yeah. What would you like to be doing? Where would you like to be?
I would love to be able to do more of this. I mean, I know this sounds terribly arrogant, and I don't want this to come across that way. But if I had a dream, I think it would be, it would be nice to have my book in every airport in America. Is that, you walk out of an airplane and you go to that kiosk and you see your book on the shelf. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing.
Do you have audiobook versions of your books?
No, but I need to make some. So
okay, if you were to do that, would you like score them too? Because you can.
Well, yeah, you can do that as well, and these are all good ideas, and so I will credit you. Thank you, Stuart, for telling me that. But
I love it that one of my favorite musicians locally wants to be a famous author.
Well, no, I mean,
I love that.
Well, you think about Gordon Lightfoot. He wrote like over 400 songs in his lifetime, and I write songs. But you think about how many songs we don't know. We know a few of them, okay? Sundown and Early Morning Rain, those tunes. But he wrote so much more, and that's true with a lot of great writers. But for me, it's not just the medium is not as important as the message. So, for example, a hero of mine has just come out with a brand new documentary, Ken Burns, on the American Revolution. It's phenomenal. I went to go see the premiere of it. And, he's been making documentaries for a very long time.
On PBS and LPB.
Exactly. And the soundtracks, the cinematography, all of that is wonderful. But I think I admire him because it's not just we're going to list a bunch of facts and figures and a litany of dates and stuff like that. No, we're trying to tell a story. And for me, whether it's music, whether it's books, whether it's a documentary or a great film, and if you're getting across a really good message, then that's really what matters. It's the story, And I mean, you know, heck, Tom Hanks, he's another just someone you look up to. It's like, wow, Tom Hanks. I mean, and so his career in that way, you can't really pigeonhole someone like that. And I also think maybe I get kind of bored. I think doing one thing can get rather boring. And so even in our shows, for example, it isn't just song after song after song. It's song, it's story, even Shakespeare. I mean, sometimes I'll get up and say, hey, does anyone want to hear some Shakespeare?
It's, it's banter as well.
It's just banter as well, indubitably. Absolutely. I mean, you know,
the best British accent, even from a British, that I've ever heard.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Bully, very good. Capital.
I hazard a guess that you will not run out of ways to express yourself and things to do, and I look forward to seeing where that takes you, my friend. You're a talented fellow.
Well, thank you. Me too. I appreciate it, and likewise, Stuart, your work is just absolutely just incredible, and I thank you for including me in it.
Appreciate you very much. All right, I'm going to go take Advil.